get the other episode out. It's like ready to go. I just need to do like the actual uploading part of it, which I can't do from work. But I decided last night that I was going to actually write rather than like.
Oh, that's
so like
important. I'm
Nice
proud
job.
of
Yeah.
you. Do your werewolf homework,
so-
Scott.
It's been like every night that I've been like, I should be doing this. I should be doing this.
do
And I
my
end up doing
werewolf
other stuff
homework.
instead. Welcome again to Behind the Locked Doors, a conference call wearing a podcast as a trench coat, where we are accountable to each other for the creative projects that we want to get done. I am Scott Paladin. I am working on a werewolf noir audio drama that is tentatively called It Takes a Wolf.
Ooh, there's a title now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love
New
it.
information.
And
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm also here.
yeah,
I'm working on As in West still.
yep.
And I'm Sam. Sorry, my mind is still blowing from the title. I'm also working on As in West. Yay.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do start with our check-in. Y'all were going to devise an outline for episode 1. Is that correct? You're sort of, or episode 1 and 2, your pilot?
I did most of episode 1, yes, but what I ended up doing, which
We did
might
some other
actually have
stuff.
been, yeah, it might have actually been better, was I actually charted the whole season.
Good. Cool.
So I sent a spreadsheet, and it's basically got like episode 1, and then like the basic theme, and then like a sort of a breakdown of kind of the skeleton of what will happen, all the way to like, what is it, episode 8 or something? Because the last 3 are basically just like save Simmons. So
Yeah.
I don't have an outline for that yet. There's
Sure.
just, I know there's explosions. That's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be dope. That's all we know.
3 episodes of
Yeah.
just wall-to-wall explosions the whole way
Yes,
through.
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Horrible radio, but it's fine.
Well, that sounds like real progress then. That sounds like almost kind of more, got more done than you were expecting it to, which is really great.
It had to happen because because I'm doing one of those like starting here and then going back and talking about it, I had to plan farther ahead. So
Sure, yeah. Awesome.
It was cool for me to see the whole schwang of the thing.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, how'd you do, Scott? Did you do your homework?
I did do some of my werewolf homework. Not as much as I would have liked to have gotten done. Like I said, I've tentatively decided on the name to be It Takes a Wolf.
Nice.
Which, from the phrase "it takes a wolf to smell a wolf," because once I decided that this character is killing a bunch of other werewolves, that seems to work. And there's value in just deciding on a thing and just going with it, and you'll never find the perfect one. But I'm not gonna. I'm saying it here. I haven't announced it anywhere else. It'll probably be the real one, but I'm leaving it open to the idea of it being something else. And then also let me open up my thing and see how much I got. I went back to my document and realized I've been saying I had like 500 words. I think I had more like 1,000 actually previously. So I had a little bit more than I thought. And then I had like probably 5 different evenings since we last talked where I was like, I should write. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write. And then it like didn't happen, so I would do something else. Okay. So I got another maybe 400 words done.
That's not nothing.
It's not nothing. It's not that first episode is not anywhere near done. But there's some progress being made. I found with this particular project, I was having a lot of struggle working linearly. I tend to write scene 1 and then go straight through to the end. And for whatever reason, I got stuck on a couple of different, like I got stuck on a point, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to skip ahead to another point, and I got stuck on another point again. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to skip to the end. I'm going to write some of this other stuff, and then I can maybe go back. I think maybe I'm expecting there to be more. I'm writing it with the expectation there's going to be a lot of connective tissue where like you're really going to follow the line from scene to scene. And I think maybe it just needs to be where, we jump around a bit more, and a bit more scatterbrained and scattershot, because I was finding myself getting really bored with like, oh, well, now the character has to call in and like get the bounty from the police officers, and has to experience some, them being dicks to him and stuff. I'm like, I got bored, and I was like, okay, and if I'm bored,
Well, if you're bored, we're bored. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like the
I should just
listeners
skip
gonna
this.
not care about it either.
I have the luxury of a narrator who can then backfill information if need be. So like but I was writing it with an expectation, and I think it turned out to be wrong. So I didn't get quite as much done.
Hey, but you discovered something, which is
Yes.
that connective tissue. Don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it. I can jump around, and it'll be fine. It'll be a little bit more, sort of episodic scene by scene things, which is fine. But I managed to actually write the scene where like the first switch of the narrators happens, and
Nice.
Which is cool. And then it's so fun when you write characters and you're like, I don't know what this character's like until you actually sit down. Like you get to the point where you have you've written the character name in the character name slot, and you now have an empty dialogue thing. You're like, okay, what comes out? And then your brain just supplies something. And you're like, oh, okay,
this is who this person is.
Yeah, I had no idea who this character was. So like we finally see the Beast, which is the sort of other half of the main character, and I'm like, oh no, this character's like actually super eloquent. Like I was expecting him to be like a kind of a beast, right? Like to be an animal. And instead their first line is like, we breathe borrowed air, my friend. We live as long as our claws wound the useless. And I'm like, what? Okay, I guess that's who this character is now.
I'm making the like fire emoji in real life right now.
Yes,
like, that
yes.
fucking rips. Let's go.
Whoa.
You're hearing my dogs?
That I was like, we're manifesting real werewolves.
They were
What's
saying.
The big one is very loud when they play, and he makes his opinions known. So
oh, that's adorable.
I need to kick y'all out. I will.
Tell them we love them.
Yeah, we do. We love them. Thank goodness for eloquent werewolves though, because they're so typecast as like, they wear leather jackets and they have scruffy beards and they are lower class, and I'm so tired of that. Like I'd love to see a clean cut in a suit like business werewolf once in a while. Like that'd just be fucking awesome. And like and the other way around. Like I'd love to see vampires that live in like apartments and like
trash vampires.
Yeah, trash vampires. We need more trash vampires and more business werewolves.
Okay, you've said that, and I am now making a note. I'm making a note. American Psycho werewolf.
Yeah,
because that's gotta be
fantastic.
That's gotta come later, right? Like there's gotta be. I forget that character's name, but there's gotta be the dude. The clean cut yuppie businessman guy. That's perfect. Yeah.
Well, you think American Psycho and all of those scenes where they're in their restaurants and their cafes and they're doing those just absolutely disgusting display of that sort of 90s businessman altogether. It is very vampire when you watch it, but wouldn't it be great though if one of them had been a werewolf, because then they're just slightly other, even though they all are other anyway, and that also plays into your kind of trans sort of gender, it all sort of meshes together nicely. Yeah.
I love that. That I'm keeping that in the back pocket. That's perfect. Is there anything we want to cover before we get into expectations of next week? I didn't come in guns blazing with a topic or anything. Is there anything you want to?
Did we do our homework? Well, I want to say really quick. I think you're gonna be totally set for Werewolf Foley, because all you need to do is put a mic in a room with your dogs and just be like, "Do your normal stuff." Oh. We're gonna get good dog noises right now.
I speaking of Foley, I feel incredibly guilty because a mutual friend of all of ours, who I will not name on the actual podcast, sent me a thing. Because not just because they're working on a project, I don't want to say that they're working on a project.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I got a direct message from somebody, and they were like, "Hey, would you be willing to talk to me about some like Foley stuff?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love doing that. You're a cool collaborator. I'd love to give you a thing." And they sent me a Google Doc, a big long Google Doc. I was expecting to get like told the thing.
Sure.
I had and I'm like, oh no.
You're like, whoa, the scope.
I was like, oh god, like complete freeze, and it was like they sent me the thing and I haven't even responded. I feel super guilty about the whole thing. I'm like, oh crap.
Oh no.
It's the full on ADHD. Oh, I saw your message, and I've been stressing about it now for 3 days.
Rather than replying to it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're listening to this person who probably can figure out if I'm talking about them or not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you're the person who sent Scott a document with like a huge long list of Foleys.
Well, that's like, it was the entire scope document for their project, which is cool. But also like, okay, how long was this document? I wonder if I can pull it up. No, I don't want to talk about their thing too much, but just to say that I feel guilty for like fully like the moment that the actual scope there was like, oh man, this was more than just something I can read on the toilet. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, my toilet reading time is so vital to me as a creator, I have to say.
I'm actually curious. I find that I am so locked into like physical movement in order to be able to be creative. Like, I don't know if it's an ADHD thing or if it's a me thing, but like to actually get stuff written, I need to get up and move around.
Interesting.
Like, like take a dog for a walk or just myself, just like, okay, I'm going to go. And I'm so glad that Bluetooth headsets exist because then I can talk aloud with I just hold my phone out and my headphones in, and I'm not talking to anybody. But now it looks like I'm a normal person. They're like, oh, he's talking to somebody, not just
on
like rambling to himself aloud in the world.
That's so cute, though. I love that.
But I'm
whatever
I'm
works
really,
for you, man.
Yeah, I found that works for me, but I'm desperately curious about how other people actually like the physical or not the physical, but the actual process of getting yourself to do to write, to be creative. Is there something like that that's sort of a trigger for you or a requirement for y'all?
Well, okay, you're all gonna laugh at me, but for real, I feel like at least 80% of the best writing that I've done has been like wrapped in a towel on the bathroom floor right after a shower. Because I think about it in the shower. I get out of the shower, I'm freezing now. So I'm like huddled in this towel in like a little tent of humidity on the bath mat. And I'm like on my phone, just tippity typing away.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all my best shit. I get all my best stuff down when it's fresh out of my brain out of the shower. You know what
Interesting.
I mean?
Nice. That's
I wonder
cool.
if it has to do with maybe the like the shower is one of the few sanctums in modern life where you are forced into like a sensory deprivation, right? Like it is just you and some water and your thoughts.
Yes. Yes.
So I could definitely see that being a catalyst for like, okay, now you need to like figure this out. Your brain will finally say, okay, some quiet time. Let's think about these two characters kissing each other, and you're like, okay, all right.
I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about it real hard. They're rotating in my brain. Well, especially because like when you're in the shower, you can't be multitasking. Like you are in that shower, you are in there, and like all you're doing is using your brain, or you just revert back to a state of like pre-consciousness, like I am in the amniotic void right now. You know what I mean? Like those are the two options. But usually I'm in there using my brain to like do a task that I wouldn't be doing if I were trying to do 20 other things at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I come out, my brain's full of juice, and I'm like, I gotta get this out of here. So I'm like on my phone on the bathroom floor every time.
It probably also has to do with that a shower is physically relaxing.
Yes.
It kind of forces your muscles into like a more like a softer state, and that probably helps a lot too. Like I don't have like ADHD or any of that kind of stuff, and so a lot of what I do is very physical and mostly physical. Like I need to work out before I can sit down and do something because I need my muscles to relax, and it's usually the best thing for me is to work out really hard, like a HIIT workout, and then get in the shower because it relaxes everything, and like my muscles are sore and they feel better. And then once I'm out of the shower and I'm clean and I'm like tired but not like the wrong kind of exhausted tired, and
physical
that's when
tired,
I do
not mental tired.
Exactly, and that's when I do my best stuff, is after I've like done something good for my body, usually before I eat, but it depends because after you eat you're digesting and it sounds funny and it's it's distracting. But usually right after the shower before I eat, way early in the morning when like I don't know, just peak like physical best for the day.
Sure. Okay. Do either of you well, it sounds like I guess this would be hard to do on the bathroom floor, but do either of you listen to music while writing?
No.
Oh, so yes, but it is. I'm picky about it. Like it has to either be like music that I know so well that I'm not thinking about the lyrics, or it has to be something that doesn't have lyrics at all. And something I really like to do, and this is a pro tip for all y'all out here listening.
Yeah.
If you take one of those like noise generators, like that'll just play you like ambient fake soundtrack type stuff, and then play like like sort of a half volume or really low volume, like 10-hour long rain on the roof of a car video in another tab. Mwah, that's so good for my brain. If I'm writing and I really need to think about the words, that's what I do. It's just like noises that are like sort of low and pleasant to listen to, and maybe even like sort of on theme for whatever I'm writing, but they're not going to distract my words brain.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't use the thunderstorm stuff because that's one of the ones that I've tried to train myself to fall asleep to. And so if I turn that on, I'm like, no, it's bedtime. full honk shoe mode. But the one that got me was just by happenstance when I was doing a ton of writing a few years ago when I was doing independent porn for a living. And so it was like, you just have to do like 2,000 word days over and over again. You just have to put out stuff, you know.
You're so powerful, Scott.
But you need to do it.
Doesn't have to be good.
No, it doesn't have to be good. It's wank material. It doesn't matter if it's good.
It
has to be like interesting, but it doesn't like.
It doesn't have to be like beautiful prose.
And it doesn't have to be well crafted. It's a whole thing. You're doing a very particular job, and you just have to do that job well. Anyway, I happened across an artist at that time named Zoe Keating. Who does a cellist, specifically cellist with loop pedal. And I found that the loop, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to play this one thing on a loop, and then that builds into, and that's starting to loop, and then I will do another thing on a new loop, and that over the course of doing that over 5 minutes builds a big, you know, song, but it's all very like repetitive but all works together in a really real life. And because I was listening to that on a loop for like 4 months while I was doing this, that is the full on, like, I need to write like crunch time brain mode thing. If I put on the album or 2 albums of Zoe Keating's while I'm like, my brain is like, okay, it's time to write mode. Like,
nice.
If I need to just put stuff out, I'm like, and so I'm actually a little bit precious with that one, where it's like, if I don't have a deadline, I don't use it because I don't want to decrease its effectiveness.
No, that's smart. Using that as your like turbo boost. Can you say that name, that the cellist for me one more time?
Zoe, Zoe. I think there's an umlaut in there as well, but Zoe Keating, Keating. It's also just beautiful.
Storing
music,
that away for later.
But it's got that. I know a lot of people really, really love video game music for that kind of thing, where they'll find like a video game soundtrack because it's meant to be just engaging enough to like not to like trigger part of your brain, but not so engaging that you're like really paying attention to it. It's sort of like meant to be there but not draw attention to itself, and that's a very specific kind of music. I think it falls in the same sort of category.
Yeah, I do use a Mass Effect soundtrack to write.
There's like 3 or 4 soundtracks, video game soundtracks that I use, because I do the same thing that Jack does, where I like the kind of ambient, the rain, like city noises outside of a window, so they're muffled, but they're kind of like far away. And there's also like, you can get a whole bunch of different ones. Like there's like woodworking and a couple others. But I can't do music with words. I can't. It's like I'll just start singing and it doesn't help. And so my go-tos are actually the Minecraft soundtrack because it's really relaxing. And then and then also the Mass Effect soundtrack. And what's funny though is I go to sleep to Minecraft tutorials, so it's like my brain is sort of in a weird like it very, very easily falls asleep to Minecraft like block noises, but the music I'm like, oh, it's time to focus and like write some shit. So
that's so funny.
Weird. Interesting. Yeah.
Brains are so funny. Well, here's another thing that I'll say. Yeah, any Pavlovian response that you can come up with. I will say, though, too, not everybody is an ASMR liker. I like ASMR.
Yeah.
So,
but
one thing I also like to do when I'm writing is if I need the, like, sort of brain crunch, like, sensation, or, like, what, you know, the ASMR, like, brain tickling sensation to, like, you know, make sure that I'm not falling asleep, because it doesn't put me to sleep. It kicks me into focus mode. I will put on ASMR videos of someone speaking in a language that I don't understand.
Oh, that's
so like, you know, like Korean or Chinese or Japanese or something, because that way, like, I'm getting the sensation of someone is speaking and I'm paying attention, but I can't parse it either, so it's not distracting me from whatever I'm trying to do.
That's cool.
I I am also not an ASMR enjoyer. I get the sensation and I loathe it. It feels like my brain is being haunted by a dry ghost.
A dry
sense.
ghost.
Yeah.
You're valid.
Yeah, and I went with I was always asking people like, what's the appeal? What's the appeal? And people are like, oh yeah, well it makes me feel, we'll have tingles in my head and stuff. I'm like, oh, you like that?
Oh, that's the same sensation I'm feeling, but it's good for you and really bad for me. Okay, I heard.
I'm gonna steal one of my wife's stories because I think it's hilarious and it's pertinent to like what you can train your brain to do. She was babysitting for a neighborhood kid when she was 14 or something like that, and drop the kid off, food's in the fridge, blah 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 blah. His bedtime is at X, whatever. She's like, okay, and so she like goes to put the kid down, and he's like, okay, to go to sleep, I listen to the Top Gun soundtrack. The Top Gun, like, and she's like, I'm not falling for that, kid. No,
nice try.
No, you don't. Nice try. You go to bed. Put him to bed. A couple hours later, parents show back up, and she's like, you'll never believe what your kid tried to pull on me. He said that he falls asleep to the Top Gun soundtrack. And they're like, oh yeah, totally.
Oh no, he does.
Every single night he falls asleep to the Top Gun soundtrack.
That's amazing.
That poor child was lying awake in the dark, like just wide-eyed in the blackness. Like, where's my fucking Top Gun soundtrack?
Just imagining, sitting in his bed with "Highway to the Date," like blasting.
Danger zone.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. I go into my 6-year-old's room at night. I put her to bed at a certain time, and then I'll go in and check on her like a half an hour later to make sure she's either asleep or she's like, I don't actually care if kids read in bed, so she's reading. I don't bother her. But anyway, a lot of the time her TV will be on and there will be ASMR videos going, and her favorite ones are the ones where it's just a video of somebody's mouth and like they're just eating candy or something. And
I love those too.
I get it. I get it. But I know that there's also people that can't stand the sounds of chewing, and it's very strange because I neither like ASMR or dislike it. It doesn't really give me brain tickles in any direction. So I listen to the sounds of this person slurping up like
munching and crunching.
Yeah, and they'll have these, what are they called? Like they're the big long gummy worms, and they're like sparkly and shit, and like they're just slurping them up and chewing them, and I'm like, I don't know about this.
I don't know about this kid.
But she just she's out like a light if she turns on these chewing videos.
Works.
So
works,
it's great.
It is really funny that for some people, somebody like munching and crunching directly into a very hot microphone is like the most relaxing sound they can imagine. Mm-hmm. For other people, they're like, I want to die and crawl out of my skeleton. Like, this is so horrible.
It's very weird. Very weird. Brains, man.
They're wild.
Yep. Brains are weird, man. Okay, well, so let's sort of touch base on what we're trying to get done for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Let's start with. Well, first I'll go first. First, I gotta get last week's episode out. I'll do that tonight.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's probably good to actually put these things out. I started the feed and everything. But I have. Okay, so I have. Where's my actual words? I got 1,800 words. Okay, so that's
nice.
It'll probably end up being about $5,000. I'm gonna shoot for another 1,000 words. If I can get 1,000 words, I'll be very pleased. I don't know if they're gonna be good. That's the other thing. Is like telling yourself
that's what editing is for.
Yeah, you have to like give yourself permission to be bad. Otherwise, you won't like ever do anything. If you're like sitting there like it has to be good. What's the good thing? No, you'll never get anywhere. So I get like
zero draft. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, well, and there's also like just that matter of like sometimes you figure something out really far in and you just gotta toss everything. That's okay.
Yeah.
If I can get 1,000 words done, I'll feel really good. So that's my goal. Last week's episode and 1,000 more words of script one.
Solid.
But y'all.
Cool.
Yeah, Sam, what's our goal for next time?
Okay, so quick explanation. When I'm working on something, I try to always have 2 things going at once. Usually there's more than 2, but I try really hard to have 2. Because if I'm getting tired of one, I just switch to the other one and it helps. I go to the other one for a little bit and then I go back. And these next 2 weeks, I have to actually put As in West on the backup because I have an actual deadline and an actual audiobook that I have to get like most of the way through. So I think that's going to be the best way for my brain to do things is I'm going to be like 100% on this audiobook, mostly because it's a great story and I do actually like it, but there are huge sections of not a lot of stuff happening because it's like kind of an epic fantasy type thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of very, very boring narration and I'm going to get really tired of it. So I have to sort of press through it, but I can give myself As in West as like if you just get these 6 chapters recorded, dude, and then you can go and you can write some explosions. So
yes,
that's what's gonna have to be for the next 2 weeks. So really my goal is to get half of this audiobook recorded, and if I get anything on As in West done, that'll be awesome. So if I come back in 2 weeks and I haven't done those that half of this audiobook, I'm kind of in trouble. So I'm definitely going to use this show as I have got to get this done by the next time I'm talking to Scott and Jack.
Sure.
Okay, so I want to quickly point out, I'm looking at my horrible schedule that's on my table in front of me right now. 2 weeks from today is Thanksgiving Day in the United States.
Yes. Okay.
So, do we want to like meet up like however many extra weeks from now, or do we want to decide that we're gonna meet like on the 30th of November, or what do we want to do?
We'll get to the actual like scheduling of it. Maybe what we'll do is I'm gonna table all of the scheduling until the 20th of November.
Okay,
cool.
Which would be the week that we would be recording that Thursday. This is like the beginning of that week. And what we'll do is we'll touch base in there and we'll see how everybody's Thanksgiving weekend is going, and we may push it to the 30th.
Okay.
But we'll touch base, and we don't have to make a decision now, and we'll just see how things go. Because I'd love to get a recording in, but obviously I'm not going to be available on that Thursday either. So.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. All right.
Okay, but yeah, if the plan is like whatever we manage to squeak in on As in West the next 2 weeks, we'll be happy with. Honestly, Sam, if you want to send me whatever like outlining you have of the first episode and the like bare bones skeleton of that second one, so that I can start picking away at that would be fine. Yeah,
because the second one kind of needs to be mostly written by you anyway. So I might just give you give me like a couple days, and I might be able to give you the actual entire first chapter, first episode outline.
Okay,
cool.
Sick.
Sounds like a plan. All right, we will catch the audience will hear this whenever I get both that previous episode and this one out, and then we will touch base on when the three of us are going to meet again in a few weeks. All right.
Okay. Awesome. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for Behind the Locked Doors, a library of cursed knowledge production podcast thing. I don't know. If you are interested in any of these projects, you can head over to library.horse, which will eventually redirect to a webpage once I make it, If you want to support the podcast, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/cursed knowledge. See y'all next week. No, wait. See y'all in 2 weeks.